Over the last 5 months, I've sent one cold DM script almost a million times, resulting in 776 calls booked for our business. Now, I know that's hard to believe, so let me just go into these stats right here. So this right here, as you can see, is my cow.com, right? So it has my name. I'm moving everything around, right? And then I'm gonna hit refresh, and you can see, so August 1st, 2024 to January 2nd, so that is 5 months right there. 776 events created, 677 events completed, 70 rescheduled, 25 canceled. Again, I'm going to refresh just so that you know that this is real. So clearly this works and booking meetings is not an issue. I'm going to show you the stats as well that got us these bookings. So this right here is our Airtable dashboard where essentially all our data is thrown into. So we have 1.3 million DMs sent and 42,000 total replies. Now this does include a couple of our clients. So we haven't sent 1.3 mil of the message I'm about to show you, but it's more along the lines of 1 million. Now I'm about to give you the script. So this is going to be a short one, but just keep in mind that if everyone that watches this video copies this script, it will not work. Okay, so I encourage you to not just copy and paste, but to actually apply what you learn to your own offer to come up with your own script. All right, so this is the actual script right here that we've been sending and booking a ton of calls with. So hey, hello, hi, first name, and then we're saying, can I send over a list of 1,000? And then we insert the prospect's ICP who might be interested in, and then we insert the prospect service as well. And then we say totally free, of course, and you can reach out to them via Twitter or X, right? So it's like, hey, can I send over a list of 1,000 doctors, lawyers, and accountants who might be interested in your lead gen services? Totally free, of course, and you can reach out to them via Twitter, right? So it's a super straightforward message, very personalized. We're sending out a ton of volume and we're providing a ton of value as well. All right, so that's the script. You can click off this video now, but if you want to learn the reason why this is printing meeting for us, then I highly recommend you stick around. And again, if you're just copy and pasting stuff from the internet, you're always going to be behind whoever's making the video. So I highly recommend that you apply what you learned through this video as we go through the principles of what made this an actual successful script. And lastly, before we get into principle number 1, if you're already running a successful LinkedIn email campaign, Instagram campaign, then I highly recommend you skip to principle number 3 because number 1 and 2 will just be a bit redundant. And all the timestamps will be down below in the description and also pinned to the top of the comments. All right, so principle number 1 is personalization. And unless you've been living under a rock, you know that no one freaking personalizes, especially their Twitter DMs. All right, so I'm going to show you what I mean by the fact that no one is personalizing. So like here, for example, it's like, hi, Alex, hope you're doing well. I'm a skilled deployments that are flexible 40+ hours a week. I'll also upload emails from Figma to Clavio. I easily adapt to your schedule, whatever works best for you. Free to talk this week, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of things wrong with this approach in my eyes, but just the simple fact that there is literally zero personalization other than my name. And obviously, like, everyone knows that you can like automate that. Okay. So your personalization needs to go above and beyond. When we're talking personalization, I'm not just talking first name. So here's another one. Same thing. Hey, Alex, I'm currently working with XYZ and brought him millions of views. So again, no personalization. Not that this is horrific because it does include social proof, right? Which is good. And it's like they send you directly to whoever they are. So this isn't a bad message, but there's literally zero personalization. So even if he took the time to kind of write this specifically for me, then it just doesn't look that way. Like even if he did, just because he didn't personalize. Like, all right, so here's another one, zero personalization. This one's even worse because it's like, got a good news for you. And then Alex, like my first and last name. If I could get you predictable sales leads, like, would you? So again, no freaking personalization at all. And if that's what you're currently doing, then please just stop all your campaigns. But now I'm going to show you how to actually do it the right way. All right, so I actually have a cheat sheet that you can get access to down below in the description. So it's a cheat sheet that we made for how to personalize scripts. So this is just going to make it super easy for you kind of whenever you're writing scripts to know what the possibilities are whenever you are personalizing. Okay, so there's a couple really nice ones here. Best 9 that we found are like, hey, congrats on your recent round, right? If there's a round. Achievements, congrats on XYZ achievement. Hey, notice you're using this tech stack for your brand name. Notice you compete with competitor. Congrats on your recent launch. Hey, sorry, post about topic on Twitter, YouTube, whatever it might be. Hey, notice you've worked with client. Hey, saw you recently brought on a new marketer, which indicates you're like whatever. Competitor, hey, notice your competitor achieved XYZ. Thought you might want to discuss how we can do the same for you, etc., etc. So this is a really, really easy way to kind of just go through these. And I like this just to brainstorm to see kind of what's out there and what you can do. Now, there's obviously some other ones, right? And it's not like these are the only ones we use, but this always just gives me a head start whenever I'm starting off with a new script. script. And so whenever it comes to personalizing, there's a couple ways to do it. You can either leverage people or you can leverage software. So if you want to leverage people, there's a couple of steps that you need to take. Step number one would be for you yourself to just record yourself doing this, right? Create an SOP and then give it off to your team or hire a team or outsource it somehow. And so that's how you can essentially just leverage people. You do need to be really good at doing it yourself so that then you can transfer that skill, because whenever you're dealing with people, obviously if these people aren't super experienced, then they're going to have a lot of questions. You want to make sure their grammar is on point. You want to make sure they're not making any mistakes when it comes to the personalizations, because again, if you mess up the personalization, then you're pretty much cooked. Now, what I like to do is I like to leverage software. Okay, so couple ways to do it. Again, ChatGPT is a great option. So you can kind of combine these two as well. So you can use ChatGPT plus a team of people to kind of make their workflow a lot more efficient, or you can kind of just run it yourself through ChatGPT, somehow, maybe through like some make automation, just to make sure that you can do this at a decent scale. Another one that we use a lot for some of these personalizations is clay.com, and we're not affiliated with the Clay team, but their tool is really useful for some of these personalizations. So for example, tech stack, hey, notice you're using tech for brand. ChatGPT can't do this, right? This is either you're just doing it manually and you're going through something like Wapalizer, or maybe you're scraping a list from Built With. But what's nice about Clay is that they have Built With directly on their platform. So you can just pay Clay to use Built With on their behalf. So it's like, hey, notice you're using tech for brand. So if you are a SaaS and you know kind of what your competitors are, you can hit people that are using your competitor and call them out on it. Their case studies. So this is doable with either Clay, ChatGPT, Drippy can do this as well. Depends on the achievement that you want to do. Recent funding. This is 100% a Clay personalization. Notice you compete with. So this is also like very easily done through ChatGPT, Clay, social media activity. Depends on the platform. Sometimes Clay's a little bit iffy and Clay uses chat. I mean, you can use a couple, but ChatGPT, Clay can be good. You just need to make sure that your scripts are actually like really, that your prompts are really good. New products. So again, same thing. Competitor success, same thing, and new hires in the companies. And so what's really nice is that you can use Clay to actually come up with these really high level personalizations, and then you can use some other tool to actually send the messages. So my personal favorite way to actually personalize messages that I think is the most efficient and most effective, and it's actually the way that we're personalizing for this script that we sent that booked us almost 1,000 calls within the last 5 months, is through Drippy. And so there's a couple of steps that you need to take here. So again, let me just recap what this message is. So it's like, hey, can I send over a list of 1,000? And then we insert their ICP, like their ideal client. So that can be, hey, can I send over a list of 1,000 SaaS companies and marketing agencies? And then we say who might be interested in, and then we describe the prospect's service. Okay, so it's like, hey, can I send over a list of 1,000 SaaS companies who might be interested in your lead gen services, totally free, of course, and XYZ, right? So that's how this works. And before you actually get to the prompts, which you can just copy these prompts, and these prompts work really well within Drippy. They don't work well like through Clay or through ChatGPT, because the model within Drippy has been trained to kind of just take these non-elaborate scripts, which is why you can kind of just say it in plain English. You don't have to go above and beyond and go super copywriter on the scripts here or on the prompts here. But what you want to do before you even get to the prompting process, or what I like to do, is I like to just determine what the variables are going to be, and then I try to figure out how to prompt AI so that it gives me those variables. So there's another script that I like sending, especially for like the done for you stuff. So it's like, hey, if I can put your sales team on more calls with, and then I say with ICP, right? So this is going to be one of the variables, like client and client on a pay on results basis. Would that be interesting? Right? So here, this is before we actually get into the prompting. So essentially we're saying ICP, so that's variable number one. Then variable number two is client. And what I mean by that is essentially just case studies from their website. So once we have this, now we can figure out how to prompt the AI so that it gives us this. So for the ICP, it's very easy. It's literally just the same prompt that we had for the previous script. So let me just copy and paste that. All right, so here we go. So we're going to change ICP for the prompt. So again, you can learn from this and then apply to your own offer. Now we just get to prompting it essentially. So use the lead's website to determine 2 or 3 of their previous clients, or we can also say of the clients featured on their site on a payment results basis. Would that be interesting, right? So you see how we go from, okay, this is the script we want, these are the variables, and then we test out different prompts to figure out whether the actual prompts are going to give us the variables that we want on a consistent basis. All right, so that is principle number 1, personalization. Now you should know how to personalize your scripts perfectly. All right, so principle number 2 is the value principle. I'd say that this is even less common to see out in the wild than the personalization principle. And just think about it. People receive a ton of messages every single day, and literally everyone is just asking for something of them. Everyone is asking for their time. Everyone is asking for a reply. Everyone is just asking whether or not they're interested, and we're also doing that. But before we get into that, we are providing value. And to be completely honest, I've only received one really good message providing value up front, and I ended up hiring the guy. I'm actually going to show you what he sent me, okay? All right, so this is exactly what he sent me. So it is not a Loom video, but it is an MP4 file of a video that it's a 10-minute video that goes in depth, going through one of our YouTube scripts and breaking it down literally sentence by sentence and adding his input on how he would make the video better, right? So he didn't ask me like, hey, can I send over an audit of your YouTube channel? He just did it and then sent it over and then followed up and actually didn't answer until his second follow-up, right? So there's a lesson there. And the message was like, hey, Alex, I love Drippy so much that I want to help. Prioritizing your SaaS offering YouTube all the same time is hard. One avenue often gets neglected. I want to help increase your YouTube conversions through script writing. I've already went ahead and audited one of your scripts. Let me know what you think, right? And then he just sent the link. This was beautiful. Like, I didn't even watch the whole video, but it was just, I watched maybe the first 2.5 minutes and I was like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. And he went above and beyond, because I get a ton of messages every single day. And this like, I've literally never gotten a DM with this much value. And this is why you should always be providing value, because if people can sense that you spent time and or money, odds of them replying to you just go through the roof. Now, this is obviously amazing, but it can be a little bit difficult to do at scale because it takes a bunch of time and you don't know if people are actually going to reply. And so it's risky, right? Because you are putting in a ton of effort into every single message that you're sending, and you can only really send up to maybe 10 of these a day, 5, 10. If you're like just doing this all day, maybe you can send out 15, but it's not something that you can kind of just throw more volume into and see that scale exponentially. But this is 100% the quality of outreach that I'm talking about that will get you insane results. Okay, so if you do this and then you figure out how to automate it, like, you will literally never be beat. And so with that being said, you've seen our message, you know what our value is, and you can see why that works so well, right? So we are offering a list of 1,000 leads in the prospect's ICP, and we are name dropping their ICP as well. And a rule of thumb to know whether or not you're providing enough value. So I see two. One of them is from Alex Ramosi. The other one is from Matthew Larson from 1000x Leads. So the thing that Alex Ramosi emphasizes on whenever he's talking about lead magnets is just making your free stuff just way better than everyone else's paid stuff. So if number one, your free stuff is better than everyone else's paid stuff, then you're good to go. And number two, this is from Matthew Larson, if you'd pay at least $50 for whatever freebie you're putting out there, then you've also got a winner. Now, it doesn't have to have both, but if you answered yes to at least one of those questions, then you're good to go. If you answered no to both of those questions, then you should rethink what your freebie is. Now, with us, our list of leads was kind of a no-brainer because number one, there was a very big lift up front from our dev team to kind of get this going, but now there's a minimal lift to distribute to thousands of people every single day, which makes this super valuable to us. Something we also tested out, which I guess is more along the lines of the example that I showed you, is we were sending out free personalized scripts instead of sending out lead lists. Now, scripts took a very long time because if we go back to our stats, we're getting, let's see, 178 positive replies. This was a couple months back, but every day we're getting 34, 35, 26, 27, 20. And before we were sending even more messages, we were getting like 100 positive replies every single day. So just imagine having to write that many scripts. And obviously it was working well, but we tested against this other freebie, which is the one we're running with now. And we found that the time, effort, and just resources that it took to write out all these scripts, because these weren't kind of a template that we were just shooting out to everyone. It was like actual personalized scripts that our copywriters were like writing for each one of these prospects, just the effort that went into it didn't have a direct correlation with conversions compared to the leads that we were sending, right? So leads, a lot of effort up front, not a lot of effort to kind of distribute. Scripts, pretty much the opposite, right? So there's not a big lift up front. It's kind of just a stable lift through all the way throughout, because it just takes a bunch of time to write these scripts and to actually make them good enough for people to like them. But leads, everyone just loves leads. People are always looking for more leads, and people spend a lot of time and money looking for leads. And so sometimes, maybe even if you think that something is going to work better, I highly recommend that you test freebies against each other, especially with conversion. Reply rates don't really matter if no one's converting. So you always want to measure against conversions. Okay, so what's converting the best? All right, so principle number 3 is volume. Once you have principle number 1 and principle number 2 down, meaning you have something that is working and is working well, then you can step on the gas and just go to the moon with your campaign. But you really shouldn't be sending out a ton of volume if you haven't figured out 1 and 2. The only reason you should be sending volume before you figured out 1 and 2 is if you just want to have a faster feedback loop. But the argument against that would be that, hey, I'm just burning leads, which yes, but you can just kind of add more accounts and send them another message and have the accounts look different. So it's not that big of a deal. But I highly recommend that you first kind of test out with a smaller batch to find something that works. And then once you have something that works, then you actually pump the volume. And also, if you are coming from cold email, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever that might be, this is what you want to pay attention to, because you've already found something that's working. Now it's just a matter of changing up the format a little bit. So maybe you want to go into a little bit of script writing, changing up the format, and then you can just pump the volume. So again, there's 2 things you can leverage. Number 1 would be labor, and then number 2 would be software. If you don't want to go the software automation route, then again, essentially what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to build out an SOP, build out a team of appointment setters, make sure that everyone is doing what they're supposed to be doing. Once you have something that's working, teach them how to personalize, teach them how to provide value, have them be able to create your freebies and then send those over. And then essentially, if you want to just keep scaling, then you're just going to have to add more appointment setters to the team, or just make them more efficient so that they can get more done per unit at a time. And obviously this is a very good idea, and some really big companies take this approach, but it can be really, really expensive. And honestly, my favorite way to do this is a combination of both, where you have a really big team, but they're all made super efficient through software, just giving you the best of both worlds, where you have a ton of people that are really skilled, plus you give them software to just make them extremely efficient. Now, for Twitter specifically, and what we're doing for this specific script is, number 1, we have a bunch of Twitter accounts. Okay, so we have anywhere between 30 to 50 accounts running at the same time. They are all uploaded to Drippy. As you can see right here, this is just one of the accounts. This account has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So this account has 17. We have a couple more accounts. So maybe you have like 40 to 60 accounts running right now. A couple of them are disconnected. So again, we have around 30 to 50 accounts running at any given time. And so once you get them uploaded to Drippy, then you need to start a campaign for each one of the different accounts, which is honestly really easy to do. And we have a bunch of tutorials, which will be linked down below in the description, for how to do that in depth. But just as a very general overview, number 1, you want to connect the accounts. Number 2, you want to optimize the accounts, make sure the accounts look good. Number 3, you want to add leads. Number 4, you set up your campaigns with your script. And then number 5, you start the automations and you book a ton of meetings. And what's really nice about the Drippy Twitter combination is that Drippy doesn't have a limit in terms of how many accounts you can add. So you can be running 120 accounts, and with those 120 accounts, each one was sending around 200 messages. But if you go to Twitter Terms of Service, as of right now, you can send up to 500 messages every single day per account. So just run the math on that. You can send out a ton of volume, and you don't really need a lot of accounts to do so. And if you upload everything to Drippy, you only really need one appointment setter to take care of the setup. And as the messages are going out in an automated way and they're personalized already, then that one appointment setter can essentially manage all of the accounts, and you don't need to hire a super expensive, very high headcount team. All right, so now that you have the best cold DM script in the world and you've learned the principles that make this script so efficient, now you can actually go and apply this and book calls through Twitter effortlessly. Now, of course, this isn't the only thing you can do to sign clients through Twitter, which is why I made this video on screen. That is a full course on Twitter marketing, how we use Twitter marketing to book us, as you saw, hundreds of calls, and how you can do it for yourself to start seeing results literally within the next week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you there.